Hello everyone, how are you doing? How's your guys' weekend? I hope it's going well. I need to actually lower my earbud volume slightly so I can actually hear the sound of my own voice. Have you guys ever tried to actually talk to people in a meaningful capacity when you can't hear yourself? It's shockingly difficult. The only thing worse, which I don't understand how the fuck people do this, is when you have earbuds with latency that are feeding your voice back to you. Like, some people actually do this on purpose to be able to gauge their audio quality as they're presenting or something. And I have no idea how they manage to do that, like how they manage to pay attention to what they're saying and also be saying new sentences. Every time I try, I literally collapse into a bundle of talking over myself and trying to re-respond to the things that I said prior. I wonder if it's a thing because I sub-vocalize, when I hear my own voice speaking back to me, my brain tries to continue that train of thought instead of the train of thought I'm actually supposed to have. But I have no idea. Why is my camera so off-center? Okay. Hey there, Millennia. Hey there, Toffee. Hope you are both doing great. I guess as a little recap of what we did last time, last time, we started setting up a volumetric fluid system because I have a school assignment that's due in under a month that I've basically not started. Hey there, Cerility. Hey there, Echoes Ahead. So, yeah, basically I'm in a computer animation class. It's a 4th year course. It's the second to last semester that I am in university. So hopefully I pass. And the final project is very open-ended. It just has to be on some sort of animation or simulation technique. So I said, fuck it. I'd like to build a fluid simulation in my engine. That would be pretty cool. And they said, sure. And it's due on the 15th of December, and it's the 17th of November. And the extent of what I've done so far is I've made an API call into the engine to define liquid with a name and a color. And then that gets defined, and then we log the liquids. That's all that exists. Technically, chunks have the capability to store liquids, but that doesn't really mean anything because they don't render or have any way of manipulating them. So it's basically just storing an empty array of nothing, which is cool. Yeah, so basically, I don't really know what I'm doing right now. I need to be able to get something that resembles a liquid simulation done by the end of the project. The course is fairly open-ended, so the actual completion that I have to hit, it's pretty arbitrary. I am grading myself, and then they effectively say, does that seem fair or not? And I've got a high enough grade where I basically don't need to even do this assignment. It's worth 40% of the course. But then there's other components to it that are not actually the final deliverable, and the remaining 60% are very easy, and so if everything's on track, I should have 65% minimum without doing this project, and I only need 60% to pass, and fuck, after 5 years at university, I'm so checked out, I do not care, I'll take it. But I'd still like to get this done, because we still do need liquids. I want to be able to have fluid simulation in the engine. I want to make volumetric fluid simulation because I feel like after a decade of seeing Minecraft's water source blocks, I think hopefully people are a bit tired of that and want to see something actually somewhat realistic. Yeah, so that's basically where we're at. Today I want to prioritize trying to get the liquids meshing and then also add API calls to actually place and break the liquids. Because you know, if they can't be added by the game in any capacity, then it's kind of hard to actually make the game work. It's hard to test if we can't add liquids and stuff. Hey there, Bacon. Yeah, university is just, it's a lot. I don't know, I'm tired. I just want to graduate and be done with it forever and ever and ever. But that means 2 more courses, and so this is one of them. The other one is a modeling course, which I'll probably also see if I can pawn off into working on the engine. So this isn't my last semester. My last semester's in the spring. Thanks, Intex. Have you decided on an algorithm for the simulation? not like an actual algorithm. Basically, my goal, I have like a kind of a very simplistic algorithm I want to implement at first, which is just basically if the liquid is uneven, then it will node propagate out sideways until it is even, or until the differential between liquid layers is less than 2 over the entire plane. Which does create an issue of, like, how do we level slanted water where, like, the difference between the liquid levels is, like, more than 1 tile in each direction. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But, like, that's not really the meat of this project. That's mostly just the grunt work that I need to do to test an actual thing I want to test here, which is I want to have a performant fluid simulation. I don't want to have, like, a bunch of issues with managing large fluid bodies. If you have a giant river, I want that river to actually be able to flow, even if it spans thousands of blocks, without it just, like, melting the universe. And so to accomplish that, I basically want to create a system that analyzes the flow in and out of nodes, or of regions of space in the engine. And then I want to... Sorry, I just got... Oh, there we go. Okay. I was so confused because I saw a message pop up on my stream monitor, but not in my actual, like, chat windows, but it was just delayed. So I want to basically layer an octree of the fluid flow levels over the entire world. And then if they become static, so, like, say that there's, like, all the middle parts of the river have a consistent flow, because they've got a consistent flow going in and a consistent flow going out, all of those should just be able to be frozen in time. Like, they just do not simulate until the inflow changes, and then they are forced to resimulate. But that's basically the gist of what I'm trying to do. And that doesn't depend on the underlying simulation model. I will probably do something more complex in the future. But mainly I just want to test this inflow-outflow approximation first. So that's what we're starting with. What graphics API is this using? This is using Vulkan. I'm using Vulkan 1.2, which means I'm using like all the fancy newer extensions that are still relatively supported. Like I'm using Bindless for pretty much everything. And I am also, this isn't directly related to the graphics API, but Vulkan makes it a lot easier. I'm doing Vertex pulling for basically all of the node data. So the vertices that are being sent to the GPU are very minimal. It's mostly just pulling mesh data from the like a static buffer in GPU space, which I'm very happy about. It allows me to do a lot of weird stuff where, like, these planes are statically meshed. Like, these meshes are not updating every time I move, and they're part of the wider chunk mesh, but they're also view space. They orient to the camera, which I think creates a really interesting effect. I'm not sold on if I'm going to keep it around. I used to have, like, traditional Minecraft cross meshes for, like, the grass as well. But I honestly really like it. I feel like it makes the world look a lot more stylized, so I might keep that around. But yeah, so basically today we're going to start with methods to add and remove and set and get and clear liquids. And then we are going to make a system to render liquids very primitively. We're not going to keep this super deep. It's just going to be carpet meshing, ideally. So we'll take the top planes of all of the water and then smooth them into like a smooth surface, and then render them. No depth sorting yet. That's going to be a whole other can of worms. Ideally, I'd like to do order-independent transparency. Because since this is an engine, I don't want to make a ton of assumptions about how transparent like materials are going to be ordered, because that would potentially constrain how people are making things. There's a lot of trade-offs with that, though. I haven't really committed yet. The world is alive and watching me. All of the grass, they're all staring at me at all times. Quite freakish. I made a block. Yeah, this eyeball. I made this eyeball. And it's kind of freaky. It just always looks at you. It's just using the exact same logic as the grass. But they're kind of neat, I think. That's cursed. I don't know. I think they're cool. I don't even know why I bothered texturing the sides of them, though, because it's literally impossible to see what's on the sides. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought, so like one of the goals with the blocks in this game, this is getting kind of off track, but one of the goals is that almost all of the dynamic behavior that you would typically look for in like an entity or a, I guess also an entity in Minetest, but I was gonna say in Minetest and then a tile entity in Minecraft, I want those to be able to be encoded in just block data, because this is a data-driven engine, basically, so the actual like rendering and stuff is running in C++, and then all of the data is defined in JavaScript, then sent to C++, and then rendered and whatever over on that side. And so you can specify tons of different like properties of the meshes, like the like orientation of them, and like the swaying intensity of them, and like all this other stuff, connected textures, etc., etc. Model parts, like if I give myself a wooden fence, I think that's, nope, give wood fence? I don't remember what I called it. Yeah. So this is not like a bunch of different block states that are being programmed into existence. These are all different aspects of the model that are being conditionally rendered based on the data of the blocks around them. Please don't tell me you textured the back. I wish I could say I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I did. But unfortunately, I can't figure that out unless I go into the files, so we'll never know. Yeah, but so basically the idea is that the actual block definitions are as flexible as possible. That also applies to like random rotation and stuff, like all of these stone bits are randomly oriented. For the record, I think these stones look ass ugly. This is not representative of stuff that I actually want to do, but, you know, they're good for testing. OMG, what is that scary watcher? It's a test block. It's a not at all disturbing test block. Oh, god damn it, you redeemed the ears. I don't even have the ears timer up. Okay, 1 sec. 1 second. I'll do it. I'll do it because I am such a nice person. Alright. I need to remove the ears. I need to make it not an option anymore. Maybe I should. Am I using signed distance fields for, or signed distance functions for text rendering? Oh fuck, 2 hours. Yes, I am. I wrote my own implementation. It takes, so it calls open font, hold on. What uses this? FreeType. It calls FreeType to get the actual SDFs from it. And then I have my own render solution for them, which is slightly janky, but I'm working on it. Alright, let's get this timer up. Look in render doc if it's textured. Oh, yeah, I guess well, no, I can't actually, and I'll show you why. Just give me 1 sec. I need to actually grab the timer. Cool. And now I've got to, like, crop it all in. I can't believe you're making me do this. Do that. Do this. There we go. No, don't remove the ears? Okay, I'll think about it. No, I'll probably keep them because people seem to like them, and, I mean, I like to put up a show about not liking to put them on because it's a little bit embarrassing, but I do like wearing them. I managed to get Vertex pulling working with WGPU and Bevy, nice. SDF for text, wow. I don't know, it's not like a signed distance function, it's a signed distance field. I don't fully know the difference or the theory, I watched a video a while ago discussing how to do it, and I implemented that. But before you think about it, water. Yeah, I will do water in just a moment. Just give me 1 sec. Here, I'll show you why I can't look in render doc to see if it's textured. And then we'll move on to fluids. It's not an SDF, it's an SDF. It's something called an SDF, I just don't know if it's the same SDF as what everyone's talking about. Alright. So, here we go, we got render doc. Let's wait for something to render. I only know of signed distance fields from IRQ. I don't know what IRQ is. What did you think of the great Discord outage of November 16th? I have been so not online recently that I didn't even realize that was a thing. I was just, like, talking to some people IRL, I guess. Alright, so here we go. We got the eyeball. We'll take a snapshot. And then let's take a look at why I can't show you it. If I go into the mesh, let's find the actual one that was rendered, which is going to be a great time. Let's not make that gamma based. Okay. Let's find where it starts to exist. Oh, this is all second pass stuff, so it would be in here. Can you tell my frustum culling doesn't really work? I need to rewrite that. Let's see, where are you, eyeball? Aha! Okay, it's this mesh call. Okay? So let's take a look at the mesh viewer. Our vertices have no data. So literally the vertices are of size 0. And that is because we're doing something called vertex pulling, which is basically where, so the vertices are of size 0, but that doesn't mean that the shader doesn't get access to the vertex ID. Even though the shader is literally getting no data from the vertices, you still tell it when you want to mesh something how large or how many vertices you're going to give it in the data. It's just that because I'm saying that the size is 0, I can put any old number, and then it never indexes anything, so there's never a memory corruption or anything. And then to further that, the indices here, this is a static index array that is created at the beginning of the game and used for every block mesh ever. It just goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 0, I think, like the quad shape. And then it uses the actual vertex ID to pull from something called a face buffer, which would be in here. Push constants. Yes, you encoded faces. This buffer here contains a whole bunch of data that basically is what the model index is, which then you can go into uModels, and then the models have all the actual vertex data. Check it out. This is all the stuff that actually defines the node, the block, I guess. So the vertices are size 0, then they point to a face ID. The face ID basically encodes the local position of the block. The values are fucked here because I've crunched them a lot, and it's kind of RenderDoc doesn't know how to read that. And then from the model ID, which is in the face, we grab the actual positions of the face, which is why there's 4 positions in each element here, because it's meant to represent a quad. I'd use 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 3. Oh, okay. I feel like there's like a bunch of different ways that you can do it. I just did 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 0 because that's what I learned it the first time. Hi, first time catching a stream. I just wanted to say that your knowledge in graphics programming is super impressive. I've done some 3D stuff before and I aspire to know as much as you. Thank you so much. I feel like the more I do these streams, the more it's very obvious that I have a lot to learn. You know, whenever I do these things, so many people come in and they're like, have you tried this technique or that technique? And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed, but that's on my list now. I feel like a lot of it is just like continuing to talk to people and then like learning things that like people bring up. I feel like that's where I've learned most of the things that I've learned. I really appreciate, and I always shout out the graphics programming Discord whenever people ask me about how I know graphics stuff, because they're basically the only reason that I figured out how Vulkan worked in the first place. I very much recommend visiting them. I think they're on the Discord Discovery if you just search graphics programming. IRQ is a person who's made a lot of art with signed distance fields. Oh, that's very cool. Wait, so you upload a separate buffer that is used as a vertex buffer instead of uploading the face IDs in the regular vertex buffer. Exactly, yeah. So the face buffer is not a vertex buffer. It only has 1 value per 4 vertices, and then I take the vertex ID over 4 and then index into the face buffer, which then contains the local like integer position of the block in the chunk, and then a model ID which goes into the model buffer and then has the positions for the 4 vertices. We back on the liquids? Damn, I missed the start of the stream. Yes, we are back on the liquids, I just haven't started it yet. Hey there, Zeno. Hi, did you know there was a Voxel Enthusiast community Discord? I didn't. If you want to throw the link in chat or something, that would be super appreciated. I'll check it out after the stream. So yeah, but basically because none of the data is actually in the vertices here, I literally cannot inspect it. Like, I can look at the mesh output, which is all upside this. I don't know why it's like this. It's probably some bullshit that I'm doing. I also just crashed RenderDoc somehow. RenderDoc does not particularly like what I'm doing with the meshes, which is unfortunate, but vertex pulling is a very cool technique that has a lot of benefits, mainly that it, like, completely minimizes the amount of memory that needs to exist per mesh. You know, instead of having... Sorry, are you asking for a link for the graphics programming Discord or the voxel enthusiast one that Soft Yoda mentioned? Because I can grab the graphics programming Discord one. Let me just grab that. Invite people. Copy. Paste. Here is that one. Yeah, so basically instead of, like, per vertex having all of the information about, like, the positions and, like, the texture coordinates and the normals and everything of a mesh, we only have that once per face ever, like per type of face in the model buffer, and then the face buffer just says which model to load. And it's, like, a 90% reduction in mesh size. Like, my game used to use, like, several gigabytes of mesh data for, like, rendering the entire world, and now it uses, like, 500 megabytes or something. It's kind of crazy. Alright, so, okay. So to actually get back to fluids, just to, like, do a super quick recap, last time we made it possible to load fluids into the engine, but there's no way to actually set, get, add, remove, or clear any liquids. We started writing these shims for methods, and then I got tired and hungry, and then we stopped last stream. So to continue on where we left off, we have these get liquid, set liquid, add liquid, remove liquid, and clear liquid functions. These are all for the Dimension Atlas interface, which is the interface that the JavaScript API gets to access. So they are not actually, like, the meat of the game. Like, for example, you can see on the finish set and get node functions, they basically just call an actual get node and set node function somewhere else. Damn, mortal limits getting in the way. Yeah, I can't believe that I had to eat. It sucks. And then up here, so these are all just methods that JavaScript can bind to. And then up here, we actually give them their names in a template, which is an object that's directly sent to JavaScript. So we're going to go get liquid, and it's going to be instance get liquid. Then, hold on, what is it? Oh, what are they? Get, set, add, remove, and clear. So get, set, add... God damn it. It always thinks I'm trying to invoke the function when I autocomplete it, which is a fair assumption, but it's very annoying. Stop doing that. And then... clear liquid. Okay, get liquid, set liquid, add liquid, remove liquid, and clear liquid. Okay. So now that we have those, we'd be able to actually invoke the functions in JavaScript, but JavaScript doesn't know we can do that. We're using TypeScript for type inference, basically just so that if I go over to, like, liquid, I can import liquid, and then if I go liquid.something, you can actually see what methods exist, because JavaScript is not a typed language by default. TypeScript basically adds type hints to things. If, for example, we go into the main file, you can see we've got a dimension here, which is equal to the base dimension of the game, just like the one that's defined over here. And a little bit down, we call dim.setNode. That's a method on the dimension. If we go to dim. You can see there's a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to be adding .setLiquid and getLiquid and whatever to the dimension. So to do that, we need to go to the dimension type definition, which is over here. Ignore the red squigglies. I haven't configured VS Code to ignore the built files yet, so it's upset a little bit. So we have our getNode, setNode, and swapNode functions, and you can see they don't actually have any implementation. These are basically just type definitions, right? We're basically just declaring what the types of these functions in C++ are. So we need getLiquid, setLiquid, addLiquid, removeLiquid, and clearLiquid. I'm gonna throw them into here. And then we're basically just going to pass in a bunch of stuff. So vec3, and this is probably gonna return a number. So get liquid, that's about right. Actually, just to confirm, what's get liquid doing? It is going to return something. So yeah, we're gonna have that just return a number. Set liquid expects a position, a liquid type, and then a index. So we're gonna go position, liquid is going to be another number, and then amount is going to be another number, or let's call it volume just to be more technical about it. Add liquid is going to be the same signature. The difference between these two is if you add a liquid to a space that already has a liquid, then it's going to sum the volumes, basically, but only if they're the same type. If they're different types, it'll fail. And also if the thing can't actually hold that much volume, it will only partially fill it. And then it will return the amount of liquid that it could not fill. Or I guess add. Then remove liquid is basically going to do the same thing, where we're going to take in a liquid, which is a number, and then a volume, which is a number, and it's going to return a result of a number, which is how much it can actually remove. Just confirming, yep, that's what I decided on last week, cool. And then clear liquid just takes a position, and it's just going to wipe out any liquid that's in that place. Liquids are complicated, a bit more complicated than nodes, because they not only have a type, but they also have a volume, right? We're not just going with, oh, this cell either has water or doesn't have water, because that creates a very coarse simulation, right? There's no way of saying, like, oh, there's this much water, if we just have each cell hold exactly something or not something. So if we have a volume parameter, then we can be a lot more fine-grained with how much liquid we're storing in any given position, but it also means that the API methods are a little bit more complicated. In your Twitch bio, you don't mention what is written, what your engine's written on. Is it OS level or browser-based? Front-end, JS, or WebGL? Just asking as you seem to write TypeScript. It's my first time on your live and just discovered your channel yesterday. It is, so the actual application is native code. It's C++, and it just runs as like a desktop application. It embeds V8, which is the JavaScript runtime used by Chromium browsers. It's made by Google, and I use basically it as an internal JavaScript runtime. That's where all of this V8 stuff comes from. And it actually executes the JavaScript inside of it as if it were a web browser. And then the actual type definitions are compiled separately, so that's these guys here. And they're basically just for modding to be able to understand what the types of everything is. And then the mods themselves are also TypeScript, and they're down here, and they're loaded in at runtime. Do you wish to make Fluid based on cellular automata? Basically, I mean, yes, from my understanding of what cellular automata are, although I feel like there might be more detail there that I'm missing. I'm gonna go with yes, but if there's anything that conflicts with that later, then I was wrong. But that's what I'm thinking right now, yeah. So now that we have the type defs, if we go over to the build tool, let's go assets, and then build them. Cool, so that built the type definitions. And then if we go over to our main file, our main mod file to be clear, where I called dim.setNode, I can also now call dim.addLiquid or setLiquid or whatever. They're actually part of the type definition of the dimension now. So now, just to be like very simple about this, let's create an item called a bucket, and then when we try to right-click, it should try to set the liquid at the position that we right-clicked. So we'll go into, I guess let's just keep it really simple. We'll just define it in the nodes file, which is horribly oversized right now, but whatever. And we're gonna go const bucket is going to be item.add Zeus default bucket. Its definition is going to have name, bucket, item. I don't know if I have to specify anything in here right now. No, I don't. World, which is going to have placeable false. And then that should be all we need to do. Cool. And then to define the event, we're going to go bucket.bind before place. And this is going to take an event which contains the position and the dimension and everything. And we're going to call interrupt, which will prevent the block from actually being placed. Which I guess actually, hold on. I think there's a more appropriate event here. Use. Oh, but that doesn't actually give us the dimension. So this is probably a failing in my API. We can't see where you've right-clicked unless we say that it's placeable, and then prevent the placing. That's something that I should probably adjust, but for now this should work. So we're gonna interrupt the event to prevent it from actually placing. And now we've got the dimension. So let's grab the dimension and the position. And then we can go dim.add liquid, and we're also going to want water. So let's go const water is liquid dot, no definition found, well, import it. Liquid dot get Zeus default water. That should get us our water. And then we're going to call add liquid position water.index, and then let's just go with a volume of 1. Keep it very simple for now. Cool. And then now we're going to need to actually build... Oh, I can't actually reorder these if I don't have this thing open. Fine. We're going to go into games Zeus. We're going to build that, and we shouldn't get any type errors. Everything should be happy and good and cool. Yes, good. But it's still going to crash at runtime because we're trying to call a bunch of methods that don't do anything. And are also mentioning methods that don't exist. So to keep this like very light, just make this a super simple test. Did I use add liquid or get liquid? I have a terrible memory. Where is it? I use add liquid. So then in our dimension interface, let's just go into add liquid, then log, try to add a liquid, but unfinished. Alright, and now if I rebuild the game, and we give ourselves a bucket, then it should actually, call that function. And this is like in C++ now. So if we get this log, then we've successfully gotten a JavaScript behavior into C++. So let's go give bucket. Cool, just waiting for the world to generate. Oh, okay, that crashed the game. Interesting. Why would that have crashed the game? Let's run this in debug mode. When in doubt, debug. Super interesting engine in case you use compute shaders for gritty meshing the chunks. Could you explain how updating the buffers with them work? I haven't looked into compute shaders yet. I'm not using compute shaders for gritty meshing the chunks, unfortunately. Right now they're all gritty meshed on the CPU side. I am quite scared of compute shaders as well. I think they probably are quite hard to learn. But yeah, best of luck, sorry. Wish I could be more helpful. Hey, what is a voxel game engine? A voxel game engine is basically like it's an engine for creating voxel games, which are effectively what stuff like Minecraft is. What? I just realized the world is not existing right now. What the fuck? Huh. That's odd. Hold on. Rel with debug info. Let's try that again. Yeah, it's basically the idea of a voxel game engine is that, oh, there we go. Everything exists on a grid of blocks, right? So the idea is that, like, everything is in discrete units, except for, like, entities and stuff. It's basically a category of game. Usually there's, like, sandbox elements to it, so, like, being able to break and place and things. It was popularized by Minecraft. There's been a couple other voxel games of late, but none of them have been nearly as influential, and I'm hoping to I don't want to say change that, that's a little bit vain, but I'm hoping that I can make a game that stands on its own independently of Minecraft. Yeah, it's something that, it's basically like a tool for creating, like, customizable experiences, right? Like, it's, like being able to place and break and then create games based on, like, the mechanics of cubes and stuff. Notch v2, oh god, don't relate me to that man. Speaking of compute shaders, the Vulkan tutorial for Rust that I found introduces Vulkan with compute operations instead of the graphics pipeline. Oh, that's very interesting. Did you post that in my Discord? I feel like I saw something about that, and I didn't click on it because I was really busy. But that sounds neat. I should check that out. Really cool. My respect. For how long have you been working on it? I've been working on it since December 2018, so coming up on 6 years here, although that's a little bit disingenuous because I've been very busy for those last 6 years. I started near the end of high school, and I've been in full-time school for the last 5 years. I basically had 1 year off at the beginning, and then the rest of it I was in university. Did I say high school? Full-time university for 5 years. So I've not had as much time as I want to be able to dedicate to this project. I sent an image encoding. Is that sort of what you're doing? Let me take a look. You can use modulo and divide the index into the correct space ID into the vertex buffer. Indices vertex buffer. Almost. So there's nothing in the vertex buffer. There's a face buffer. And the vertex buffer is empty, but we're taking the vertex ID, not the index ID, and then we're translating that by dividing it by 4 into the face buffer. The indices are just to say that we want 2 triangles out of the 4 vertices, right? And then we take the vertex number divided by 4 to then get the face buffer's index, and then that has the model in it. Well, a day only has 24 hours, right? Yeah, it's painfully, this is painfully true. Alright, let's give myself a bucket. And let's see, do I get to know why this crashed? It's because we got a empty. Interesting. Hold on, let me quickly kill the game so I can free my mouse. Where's my stack trace? Call stack. Okay, what the hell happened? We're trying to emit an event for something. Personal question that you can completely dismiss if it's out of topic / don't wish to have talked here, but do you have ADHD? I'm not diagnosed with anything, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised. I never got diagnosed with anything because, I don't know, I guess I just did well in my studies and no one felt like they needed to do anything. I did certainly have anxiety for many years, and I did go to counseling for that, but I don't know if I have any sort of other neurodivergency or anything. But, I mean, I would not fault anyone for assuming so, because I feel like it's very in character for the way that I am. Okay, what the fuck is calling this? So, something's called emit. And emit is referenced by something. Atlas emit to the psych ward. Oh, man. Okay, wait. What the... So... The only time that emit is activated is when the... Is it... Because I'm calling interrupt? Hold on. Let's try making this an empty function real quick. And then calling this again. It might be the interrupt function. Yeah, because that didn't break it. These are our water buckets. They have no, like, texture or mesh defined, so they're just white cubes. Alright, so now if we try and call interrupt, is it gonna break? You mean the I can't believe you would say that to me. Awful, awful. Okay. Okay, so that also didn't break it, but it also didn't interrupt it, so I don't really know what just happened there. Hold on, let me... For some reason, rollup gets stuck sometimes and doesn't actually build my new changes. Let's confirm that's not an issue, because that's very inconsistent with what should be happening. Milk buckets. Never mind, milk comes in a bag in Canada? I think that's a weird thing. I'm pretty sure that happens in some places in Canada, but we get it here in just cartons. I'm on the West Coast. I think that it's different in different places. Okay, so interrupt just isn't working. Which is weird. That would be in the player mod. The player's like interactions are all defined in script as well. So let's see, player before place. Before place in TypeScript, please. Before place, item emit before place, override canceled is equal to true. That's on node place. Oh wait, it's called override instead of interrupt. Interesting. I don't know why I ended up doing that, but, sure. Cool. Then let me go and change the type definition, which is going to be somewhere. Hold on. Before place event. Export type before place event is world event, player event, stack event, overrideable event, which has the override type. So wait, then where is interrupt coming from? It's a separate thing that apparently exists. Huh. Strange. Okay, sure. I'm not gonna dig into that. I can't afford to get distracted here. I just want to actually make this work. Okay, wait, we can get it in bags? How do I not know this? Give bucket. Okay, there we go. Right-clicking is not placing anything, but it is definitely calling the function because we can see that it's not working. So if I go console.log, place liquid, please, and then we try and run it again. Ari confirmed not a milk drinker. Look, I've gotten my milk in cartons, okay? I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'll believe you, but it's strange. Okay, so we're getting the place liquid, please, which means that add liquid is breaking, presumably because... Oh, you know what it might be? The water thing might be empty. So if I give myself a bucket... Hey there, Kathy, how you doing? Hey there, the architect. I've literally never seen bagged milk, and I've lived West Coast Canada my whole life. Yeah, I have never seen it either. Okay, I'm guessing. Console.log water. I bet this is a nothing value, like this is null or undefined or something. And I don't yet have stack traces for JavaScript, which is a problem. Canada literally has laws and history surrounding its milk production. You're not a patriot. I never claimed to be. Okay, so yeah, water is undefined. Let's define it in here. The reason that that's happening, to be clear, is because this is in the nodes file. And if we go into main, we're calling the liquid initialization after the node initialization. If we wanted to be specific about this, we should probably do items. And then put that in here. And then grab all of this. And then do that. And then add all missing imports. And now, this shouldn't crash. Water is undefined, let's define it. Scooby-Doo sentence. Well, sometimes you just end up saying Scooby-Doo sentences when you're writing code, okay? It's just what happens. Alright, give bucket. We're still getting undefined. My code didn't compile because rollup is shit. at its job. I need to swap to a different build tool so that it doesn't fucking break all the time. It's really dumb. Or I'm just using it wrong. I mean, like, maybe I shouldn't be so quick to judge the tool when I'm probably just completely misusing it. Okay, tried to add liquid but unfinished. This error is special because it's happening in here, in instance add liquid in C++. So when we're right-clicking, we're triggering this event, which cancels the place, gets the position and the dimension from the event, and then calls add liquid, which goes into our dimension atlas interface, which has a bound method to add liquid, which is this native function, which then calls this log. So we're now in C++. We've bridged the gap. And so now we need to actually make liquids exist, right? The engine is written in C++ and you can script it with JavaScript/TypeScript. Yes, exactly. I have a question about game engines in the industry. Why are big companies like CD Projekt canceling their in-house engine? Red Engine down, Square Enix dropped their Luminous engine, Dawn Engine by Eidos Montreal, etc., etc. I get that it's easier to get people into the team who work with Unreal and not to teach them all the stuff, but they all become dependent on one big engine and need to pay revenue royalties instead. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I would assume that under the table, or not under the table, but like there's probably some big business liberties happening here. They probably pay less, much less royalties, because they've probably specifically negotiated to start using Unreal or Unity or whatever instead of their own in-house engine. Because I can't imagine that companies would not do it if it didn't make sense profitably. There is also just the aspect that building your own engine takes a lot of time and a lot of skill, and you're right, you do have to train people on that in-house engine, which makes ingesting new people into your team a lot harder. You know, I recently started working for a company that has a ton of in-house function definitions and stuff. Like, it's a very functional programming-oriented business, and they have a ton of methods that are not from, like, any sort of existing library that I could have known, but, like, written in-house, and there's like hundreds of them, and it took a long-ass time to get used to all of those, which would not have been the case. There would have been far less onboarding time if we had just been using standard, like, behavior for the language we were using. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, there's an extent where, like, you want to be using customized stuff if it better fits your needs, but I guess my point is just that if they stopped using their own engine, then they must have decided that it didn't make economic sense to keep doing so for one reason or another. Apparently I'm just old. Rabbit Hole Summary bagged milk was phased out in 1990, however it's still common in Ontario, Mini France, and the wetlands. The hell is the wetlands? Wait, what? Why am I Canadian and have no idea what that means? That's really cool. I watched your YouTube videos about this engine. Glad to catch a stream. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Hold on, wait. Isn't Ontario like 70% of the population? It's a lot. Hey there, Redstone. How you doing? Is that V8 engine for JavaScript? It sure is. Yeah, it's the Chromium runtime, the V8 engine that Google made. Man, I want to be in the wetlands. Sounds like a cool place to be. The wetlands. Dark thunder sound plays and it starts raining. Wetlands is the Maritimes. I'm gonna pretend that helped. Fuck, I should really know geography. Okay, so let's actually create our add liquid function. So this is calling dimension.addLiquid, which does not yet exist, but dimension is an actual native object. Not that dimension. This dimension. This one is an actual C++ thing that manipulates blocks. Nova Scotia and shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm stupid. Thank you. I needed that. Okay. So we basically need to rewrite all of these functions over here, or at least their names. So get liquid, set liquid, add liquid, remove liquid, and clear liquid. And we're going to give them the actual things that we want. So position, set liquid is going to take a type and then a volume. Add is also going to do that. Remove is also going to do that. And then node is, or clear liquid does not. Okay, so these are all virtual methods. Add and remove also need to return a U32. Set and clear. I'm pretty sure the boolean they return is just to say if the chunk is loaded or not. Fine, that's fine, I don't care. We'll keep that around. So we're gonna have that, and then we're going to go into the dimension. And then we actually need to write implementations for all of these. So where's my get node? Oh wait, no, sorry. Dimension itself doesn't have any of these. They're all pure virtual functions. It's going to be in client dimension. This is a somewhat artificial distinction that I plan on clearing out soon, because it doesn't really help at all. But for now, they're kind of separated into a client dimension and server dimension. So now we need to basically take all of these virtual methods and then create final overrides for all of them. So let's go like that. Final override. Cool. And now we need to define them. So let's go over to where set node is. Toss all these implementations right in here. That didn't do what I wanted. Do that. And then we're gonna call it client dimension. Set get liquid, blah blah blah. Then we definitely do not need to define final override in the C++ file. That is not valid. But we do need to do that. Cool. I've seen set methods in voxel games return if the block changed or not. Yeah, I think that might be what I did here. It's definitely something to do with event propagation. It's kind of difficult to like actually remember what the hell is going on in my engine since I've been working on it for so long. But I believe that the boolean, yeah, it does look like it's returning true if the value changed. And I assume that has something to do with triggering events if and only if the block actually became different. Because if you already have a stone block and then you set that same position to a stone block, you probably don't want to trigger an event. But I'm not sure. Make an enum instead and then never wonder what the boolean means. Honestly, that, yeah, I've heard my my boss at work call that a boolean trap, and I feel like that's actually a good name for it, because it does create the situation where it's like, what the fuck does this mean? I mean, it could also just be solved with, I don't know, documentation, but documentation's for fools, so that's a joke. Rest enums, let's go, yeah. Alright, so get liquid is going to basically do the same thing as get node. Now there is a gaping hole in this API right now, which is that we are only returning one number, when really, realistically, what you want to know is both the type of liquid and the amount of it. However, I don't know how to represent that easily, because you can't return multiple types in C++. You can return a pair, and then if I wanted to send that back to JavaScript, I'd make it an array. I don't know if I want to add the overhead of creating a heap-allocated array for every single return of this function, though. So I might split it into two functions, like get liquid type and get liquid amount, but I'll figure that out. I've heard it be described as Boolean blindness or type blindness. Yeah, that's a good name for it too. Huh, the music just very abruptly changed there, that's odd. I've heard it, tuples? Yeah, tuples are, not in JavaScript. If we wanted to have a tuple, that's just an array. C++ has pairs and tuples, so that's fine. So yeah, we're gonna get the chunk. We need to actually get an ID for... I guess we need all of these. So let's go into the liquid atlas. Numeric index for invalid, unloaded, and no liquid, which is just going to be called empty, and then we actually need to start at 3, which is going to be slightly annoying, because... Huh. Oh, no, you know, that's fine, because, the way that I have this work in, the node atlas is the first 3 values are populated in the game mod here. We create invalid, unloaded, and error. And that's basically so that if you get index 0, 1, or 2, and then you want to figure out what the hell they are, it shouldn't throw an error if you try to pull them out of the node atlas. So we can basically just do the same thing. We're going to create a liquid file. And it's going to be Zepha invalid liquid replaceable. None of this exists. And I think this needs a color. Yeah, so that's just gonna be transparent. Actually, for the hell of it, let's make it red transparent. If for some reason someone strips the alpha value out of it, then they'll get red. Unloaded is going to be blue transparent. And then empty. Empty is a weird one because it arguably shouldn't exist at all. Like, the hell does an empty liquid mean? Especially because the liquid is, like, it should be populated with zeros, probably, for optimal compression. So this might change. I'm gonna keep it as is for now. No, I'm not keeping this as is. We're gonna make this the first index. This might be a mistake. I'll figure this out later, but we're gonna make it the first index so that 0 is unloaded, and then we can go back to the liquid atlas. And then we're gonna change empty to index 0, invalid to index 1, and unloaded to index 2. Mainly because air is like a state in blocks, right? Like air is a block, whereas invalid and empty are, or sorry, invalid and unloaded are not actual blocks, right? So air being the first actual block makes sense, right? So it goes invalid, empty, and then air. But for liquids, the default state for any given position in it should be that there is no liquid there, right? So empty is technically a liquid, but it's more of a hole, right? And so I feel like representing that as a 0 makes the most sense. Option type instead of empty? We could do options, but if we do options, then that's going to result in more overhead for the API, because it's going to be creating heap allocated objects, because that's what JavaScript loves to do. And I'd prefer to keep it as low to the ground as possible. Like, there's always the opportunity to create, like, better, nicer to use APIs on top of the stable APIs exported by the engine. But I want to keep the engine APIs as low overhead as possible and leave that up to if people want to create like JavaScript libraries to make the API cleaner. Mainly just because I don't want to shackle people to bad performance because I wanted to give them good ergonomics and force that on them, basically. Yo, what's up? Is Zeph a TypeScript Voxel Engine? Kind of. It's a it's a C++ Voxel Engine, but it has a TypeScript/JavaScript modding API. So the engine is made in C++, and then it embeds V8, which is Chrome's JavaScript runtime, and then all game content is defined in JavaScript files. I don't know if JavaScript can do something like this, but in Rust you could do an option non-zero U32 and make 0 the none state of the enum. That is super cool, and I've heard about this before, and it makes me very jealous of Rust, but no, JavaScript has nothing like that level of control. All numbers in JavaScript are doubles, and there's no way to tell them to be anything other than that. It is not a very low-level typed language. For that reason, I do actually want to leverage the fact that V8 can use WebAssembly. I would really like to have like a first-class Rust modding API as well, which is just like a WebAssembly build of the JavaScript API. Because, frankly, if I'm going to be writing any code, I really want to write it in Rust. I started this project 6 years ago before I ever knew that Rust existed. Actually, maybe before Rust did exist. When did Rust come out? No. Oh, wait, no, that's the game. When did Rust language come out? No, okay, yeah, it came out a few years earlier, but I didn't know it existed. So it's all in C++, but fuck, I really want to use Rust for as much of this as I can, so I definitely want to make a Rust modding API. The way that WebAssembly works is that all of your functions need to have JavaScript equivalents, so creating the JavaScript modding API is necessary, but then I can create a Rust layer on top of it that interacts directly with Rust compiled into WebAssembly. That then lets me do everything in Rust, which would be exciting. Okay, so wait, where the hell are we? What was I doing? So I created the liquid atlas. I started working on the implementations for the liquid, and then I didn't. Okay. So liquid atlas, invalid if there's no chunk. Then we're going to lock the chunk for reading, and then we're going to grab the liquid. Liquids. Sorry if I'm, like, scratching at my face. I did some dental stuff recently. I got fillings, and my teeth feel weird, and I'm so sad about it. But, you know, that's a very temporary thing, but it's just slightly annoying me. If you do that, beware that memory layouts in Rust aren't guaranteed unless you do representation C. That's a good point. I don't think that's a problem specifically for this, because the way that WebAssembly wrappers work, it's basically, it's called glue. You create JavaScript implementations of your methods, and then you tell the WebAssembly compiler what the layout of that is, and then it does the job of making it match Rust's layout, so that's all outside of my position, I think. Okay, so we've got getLiquid. We're going to call setLiquid, which I guess is going to copy from setNode. We're going to get the chunk. If not the chunk, then we're going to return false. We're going to lock the chunk for writing. We're going to get the index. We're going to get the old liquid, which is going to be here. And then if liquids is not equal to liquid, then we're going to set it. We don't need to erase the metadata. Metadata is only for blocks, so that is irrelevant. Then we unlock the thing. We're not going to call onNodeChange, because if we called an event every time a liquid changed, that would literally melt the game, because we're doing volumetric liquids. And then we're going to comment recalculate light. Eventually liquids should factor into light calculations, but they need to right now. Okay, add liquid is going to be more or less the same, except it's going to, if the liquid is not equal to the previous liquid, we're going to return 0, because that's how much liquid could be added. We're only allowing adding liquid if it's the same type. Then we need to add the volume to the existing liquid. And then probably don't, well, we might need to recalculate the light. Oh, and then let's also go and old liquid is not equal to liquid atlas empty, because we can add liquids to nothing if we want to. Like, if there's no liquid there, we can add it. And then we will recalculate the light if we replaced nothing with the liquid. And then we're going to also return 0. This is basically just a placeholder function. It doesn't actually do anything yet, because we don't have volume being stored yet. We're only storing what type of liquid there is. Non-void function does not return a value. Huh? Care to elaborate? I feel like this is just my IDE being funny, because it most certainly does. Sure, whatever. Remove liquid is also going to effectively be the same thing. We need to check that it is the same liquid, and then we're going to remove the volume from the existing liquid, and then we're going to recalculate the light if it changes. Cool. Clear liquid is effectively the same as set liquid, but it's going to set it to empty. So we're going to go, old liquid is there, and then if old liquid is not equal to liquid atlas empty, then we're going to set it to empty. Then we'd want to recalculate the light. Cool. Okay. So that's going to effectively make this function and this function and this function work perfectly, and then add and remove liquid won't, but that's okay for right now. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Okay, so now that we have these functions implemented, they should be able to be called from the TypeScript API. So let's test that. Let's first off console.log old liquid, which is going to be dim.getLiquid position, and that'll return a number. And then we're going to console.log new liquid, and then we're also going to console.log water, and this is just going to return water.index. What kind of performance optimizations have you done for rendering a world generation? Do you have any GPU compute, multi-threading, etc.? Wait, sorry, so you're saying, do I have any... You're asking about, like, world generation. Okay. I'm using Fast Noise 2, which is a library that leverages SIMD, single instruction multiple data, I think, which allows you to basically perform, like, vector or higher operations using one instruction. So it's just a very fast way of generating, like, noise parameters. And then I'm using multi-threading. I'm multi-threading the map generation so that, like, I think there's 8 threads working on it at once. I'm not generating noise for every single position, I'm linearly interpolating it. The linear interpolation is super inefficient and is responsible for like 20% of the map gen time. And for some reason, I didn't know how to make that better back when I first wrote it, but I know how to make it better now, and it's been on my mind to fix. So basically just, it's all CPU side, but it's using SIMD, which is, you know, good for fast math. And then it's multi-threaded to hell, so yeah. Alright, so I guess let's test if this works. So we still won't see anything, unfortunately, but let's see. If I right-click, old liquid undefined, new liquid undefined, water 0. Okay, that didn't work. First of all, how the hell is water's index 0 when we just... Oh, because we never called the thing that defines the base liquids. So let's fix that. In main, we're going to call liquid in here, which means I need to run the build tools for the base code. The fuck happened there? I have no idea what that's all about. But that's in build. Hold on, why is my TypeScript... let's exclude... game... Hold on, libgame type... libgame... What is the same? Build libgame... Okay, that's build. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So let's go exclude... build... Please do not include build in the TypeScript stuff. That didn't work. Okay, hold on. Fuck it. I don't want to debug TypeScript right now. I've done far too much of that recently. Okay, that broke everything. Can we undo deleting those, please? What is wrong with you? Why are you stupid? What did I do? What is happening? It's upset at big int 64 array. I have no idea why this is like a new error. But sure, there we go. I updated the library options. Or like the library version, whatever. Okay, so that... What did that do? That should have defined the default liquids, which means that our water will be correct. But then we're missing in the dimension atlas interface actually setting the return value. So if we go to get liquid, cool. That should work. Set liquid should also work. Remove liquid should also work, and clear liquid should also work, because I already wrote these, we just didn't have the implementations. So, let's see, hopefully something should work now, I think. Wow, we have 50 viewers in chat right now. Hey everyone, how you doing? Oh damn, plus 16 on YouTube. So what is that, like 66 overall? Shit. I hope you're all having a great Sunday. Don't know why you're sitting around watching me write code, but I appreciate it. Alright, let's see. So we're gonna give ourselves a bucket and right click and... Okay, old liquid is 0. New liquid is also 0. Water is 3, so something fucked up. Let's take a look at the client dimensions add liquid function. Let's see, so... Oh, because we call add liquid, and I commented this out, so it wouldn't have done anything. Cool. And then let's also go to liquid atlas empty. Will Sugar says, I think you're very pretty, thank you. Real Phoenix says, I'm procrastinating going to bed. That is, that's relatable, yeah. I have had the worst fucking sleep schedule lately. The reason I've been doing streams at 12:30 instead of noon, which is when I'm supposed to be doing them, is because I keep going to bed at like 4 AM, like a dumbass, but, you know. I was flabbergasted by that type in for a T in your TypeScript. What is that and can you show it after? Sure. That's a weird thing, but I'll show you a bit if you want to see it. Do you look at other open source engines when designing and improving Zephyr? For the most part, when I'm looking at inspiration, I've mostly collected a lot of it like several years ago, when I was like very into Mindtest. The initial design of Zephyr was literally just to copy Mindtest API, but then fix all of the design constraints that they're stuck with now because they didn't add API versioning and don't want to deprecate old mods. But since then it's developed far beyond that. There's like a ton of stuff that was never considered for Mindtest. I've deviated a lot of the core APIs from what Mindtest did in other ways, simply just because I wasn't a huge fan of how they were done in the first place. But yeah, a lot of the original inspiration of the design itself was based on Mindtest API, which is an open source modding engine. I think they renamed to Luanti or something recently. I definitely also keep track of the Voxel YouTuber space. Like, I watch all of the videos from people that are making Voxel engines. It's really cool. I've actually had a chance to speak to a couple of them recently, which is neat, because I started publishing videos too, and it's like a little small community there. And so that's been really interesting. I really like what Quantum Developer's been doing with their... like, they directly, like, inspired me to implement Vertex pulling in my own engine from that one video they did about it, and it was a great decision, so that was really appreciated. But I don't, like, browse the code of other Voxel or other engines, really, because, I don't know, I guess I just haven't really felt the need to. Like, there's nothing where I've gotten particularly stuck on something that some other engine has done. For better or for worse, I'm trying to basically expand on all the systems that I've seen already, which means that seeing existing code isn't super helpful, because if it was something that someone else has already done, then I could do that, but most of the stuff that I'm doing is stuff that I haven't seen other people done or just haven't researched hard enough. What is the debugger support like for this kind of scripting setup? So right now, it is nothing. There's not even stack traces. It's very easy to add stack traces, but something that I want to add as well is the support for, like, the node debugging protocol. So, like, for example, if you have a Node.js process, which I can actually show this later, because I do want to do something later that's not Zephyr related, so stick around for that. But if you have a Node.js process, then Chrome can use its Chrome debugger to connect to that and basically do all of the generic JavaScript debugging stuff, but for Node. And that's actually an open source protocol that you can implement if you use V8. And I plan to do so then you can actually debug with, like, proper development tools. 1010pog, he's another voxel game person, right? I don't think I've actually watched his content yet. I also feel like most voxel engines solve a lot of problems quite differently. Yeah, that's very true. Like, a lot of the recent voxel game engines implement a lot of stuff using raycasting, and that's super impressive and interesting to take a look at, but it's not what I want to do, because I want to have, like, polygonal models. I really like the art style of polygonal models and stuff, and I know that, like, people have been making voxels smaller and smaller and trying to make them effectively so that you can put arbitrary meshes into things, but I don't really like the aesthetic of having really small voxels that are single-colored. It's just, it's just odd. I don't know. It's more of a style thing. Okay, so hold on, let's really quickly confirm. Yes, okay, so our old liquid was air, our new liquid is water. And confirming if I try and place it again, yes, okay, so it's still got water there. We can't see it, but it does in fact exist. So there we go, that's a great, like, benchmark, I guess. We actually have liquid in the world. Very good. Oh shit, we hit a follower goal. Cool. Those follower goals are so weird. Twitch is like, would you like to set a goal? And then I'm like, sure. And then it sets a goal for 10 followers every time. So it's like, we just hit 740, so now it's gonna be 750, and it's like, okay, Twitch. Like, you do you. Alright, so... Cool, let's see what was happening. So the next thing to do would be to add carpeted mesh rendering for the liquids so that we can actually see what they are, right? That probably makes the most sense. Although, before I do that though, I actually do want to take a brief intermission. I have like a weird announcement to make, which I'm kind of excited about, so yeah, let's do a thing. Would you guys like to play a game with me? So I've been working on a thing with a friend who is, I believe, in chat right now, Brian, Intex. We've been working on a project that we've tentatively named Project Curtain. This is just like a like temp name. And it's been a thing that we've been planning to create for several months. And we've recently started actually doing some hard work on it. And so recently I participated in a jam called Orca Jam, which is a local game jam in Victoria, which is the city where I am. There you go. And we created a like a prototype of our game over 11 hours. It's super primitive, and like the user experience is not quite there. But given it's an 11-hour demo and it works and it's networked, I think it would be really cool to try it out on stream if you guys are interested. It takes 1 minute and you need your phones. There's a QR code. If you just scan that with your phone, it'll bring you to the site, and we should see your name pop up on the list. Yes, Brian was also there at Orca Jam. So yeah, if we join that. Not a big fan of the government. Ari, Brian, alright. Hey, there we go, we're getting people in. So, the basic design of this game is, it's Jackbox, like, system. So, you have something hosted on a computer, and then you... Oh, someone pressed start, okay. Sure, and then you play like a minigame roulette. Here, actually, let me quickly do a thing. If I do this, I can actually get my phone on screen, which will help a lot with demonstrating this. I'm gonna quickly create a new lobby. Don't press start just yet if you are joining the new lobby, because there's currently no like readying system, so it will just have that happen for everyone. But if I scan in this code, and then I open up screen copy. That didn't work. Why didn't screen copy work? Could not find any device. Do I not have USB debugging enabled? Hold on, let me try that again. Ah, here we go. Okay, cool. So here's my phone screen. Let's just type in a name. Alright, there we go. Now we got 5 people connected. Alright, I'm gonna hit start now. Alright, ready? Boom. Okay, so the game is a minigame roulette. The minigames are the least designed part of it so far, which is the irony. We've mostly been working on networking systems and getting things interactable, so like all of these games were designed in like under 11 hours, because during the 11 hours we also did all of the networking and communication and stuff. But we have like a much larger game idea for this project, which I would like to share with people in a second. We'll just quickly play through and get the score here. The demo only lasts a minute, so you'll see in just a second. If you're hearing any music, that was made by the excellent Adam Kaflish. It's for... he made that music for the Orca Jam demo, but we're also going to be working with him for making like an actual soundtrack of the game. So yeah, so basically, that's like the extent of the demo right now. It's super minimal. Yay, hold on. Damn, I cannot change the nickname. Is that 2 iframes in 1 page? No, this is 1 page, and then this is a screen copy of my phone, which I should close. So yeah, so basically the idea that we have is we're making a competitive team-based mech piloting game where you grab 2 teams of people, preferably in the same room, but we're definitely supporting online play. And then each of you have different roles within your mech, and then you're playing WarioWare-style minigames as quickly as you can to effectively collect resources, repair your mech, and then fight enemies. We're going to have a bunch of different like social mechanics, like we want to borrow the critical tasks mechanic from, like, I guess, Space Team, where basically like sometimes people have a task that someone else needs to do in the team, and they have to yell at them to go do it. Your performance will affect the types of things you get, which allows you to collect new equipment. And then at the end, you face off with the other team in like a 1v1 mech battle, and then the final surviving mech wins the game. It's got like roguelike elements where when you start, you're basically just like a factory mech, and then as you go through, you find shops with different equipment available, which can kit out your different weapons and armor, which affects the mini-games that you get during combat. So like if you get like a sword weapon, then that's going to affect how you play versus if you have a gun weapon, right? Everything is done over like the web effectively, so this is all just like a low latency socket connection that's synchronizing everything. So although nothing here is particularly interactive other than just like the scores at the end yet, it's very easy for us to do stuff that has a lot more player interactivity. Like for example, we want to be able to have kind of spontaneous team games where like occasionally when you finish a minigame, it's going to plop you in a lobby and then grab the very next person that finishes a minigame, and now you're playing together, right? And so we're very passionate about this idea, and I'm hoping to present more about it in the future as I have more to show. This is a very early representation of the project. There's no art assets and no theming and no macro game is what we've taken to calling it, like the stuff outside of just the minigames. But I just wanted to give a little demo of it because it's something that I'm very excited for. It's going to represent a pretty big change in the things that I've been doing for a while. Like, I'm going to continue to be working on Zephyr and stuff as well, but Zephyr is a very large project that's going to take a very long time to make, and this is a project that Brian and I are really convinced we can make. Like, we can just fucking do this. So we're really committed to trying to get this going over the next, like, several months and trying to spin this into, like, an actual full product that people can play. And so I hope you'll accept if I also occasionally talk about this. So yeah, if you're interested in that or anything about it, if you want to hop in my Discord server, which is in the chat, I'll throw it in. I will be creating a channel for it, and then we can talk about that as well as Zephyr. But yes, thank you for indulging me. Brian, do you have anything you want to add? The amount of work we get done when we find the time to sit down and peer program is amazing. I agree. I'm embarrassed to just, like, compliment us like that, but I agree. The shit that we've managed to get done over the last few days, like, given we barely have any fucking time to work on any of this. You know, I make time specifically for streaming Zephyr because it's, like, in a weird way, it directly helps my goals in the future, which are to be, like, an actual game developer. And, like, even then, I still struggle to find time to do this every week, which is why we haven't done it in, like, a month since last week. But in the time that we have had to work on this, we've been able to get stuff done so quickly, and it's really exciting to see how this goes, because, like, you know, there's lots of games that get jump-started by people that don't know the tech stack, or don't know how to program, or whatever, and they make super impressive things regardless, right? But at the same time, it makes us think, like, okay, we do know the tech stack. This is all web tech. I've been doing this for, like, the past 6 years. Brian's on the server side, and he's been doing that for years as well. Like, we have the knowledge and the idea and the goal, and we're basically just scrambling to find time. And if we can just get enough time, then this project will exist, because there's basically no other challenges, which is really exciting. Fun fact, I also know how to code. Do I get to guest star on stream? Yeah, we would like to do some two-person streams at some point talking about the project. Do you have ears that fit me? You gotta buy those yourself. We're not getting, yeah. Alright, cool. Yes. Awesome. Alright, so let's figure out what the hell's going on with these liquids. Let's see if we can, like, render them before the stream's over. That would be really exciting. Do you use WebSockets for the online part or something else? Yeah, we're using WebSockets. We're using Socket.io as the underlying library to communicate between the sockets, which is just one of my favorite libraries for doing, like, low latency communication in JavaScript. And then we're using Express on the server side to actually handle like, interfacing with Socket.io. And then the client is all built in React.js, which is a kind of cursed thing that I have been doing for the last couple years. Like, if people aren't familiar with my Ludum Dare entries, I've been doing Ludum Dare for the last few compos that have been happening, and I've been getting pretty decent scores. And I've been building the entire thing out of, like, just React.js every time, like, just raw React, which is a, like, website creation tool. And it's super cursed, but it's been really fun, because, like, I've been working with React for a very long time. I know how its state system works, and it's very easy to do stuff with in that way. Okay, so to make our liquids render, we'll probably want to manipulate the chunk mesher right now, which is going to return blocks and stuff. Now that everyone knows about it, I'm going to be more active in your Discord. Hell yeah. Yeah, we should probably get you a role on there, definitely. Okay, so the chunk mesher currently returns data. I think it just returns a face buffer. Let's confirm about that. So it returns a chunk mesh info. Oh, sorry, yeah, the type infer. I totally forgot about that. Infer. Let's find this. You're talking about this stuff here, this infer t. So basically the use case of this, let me go grab, where would this actually exist? I'm trying to think. This does exist somewhere. The type infer itself? This thing. Okay. So basically what this is for, I need to actually find the file that uses it to show you. That's going to be in the structure origin file. Yeah, okay. So this is the metadata definition for this origin, or for this item, which is called origin. Basically what it is it's a type that extends metaprop, which includes a record of other metaprops. So if I type a value here, and then I want to set it to something, it can include any sort, or sorry, schema is that. So this here is a constant value, it's a schema, and it includes these values, which are effectively types. If you've ever seen Zod before, which is a runtime type validation and library in TypeScript, it's very similar. So effectively, this is defining a schema that has 3 values in it: offset, size, and name, right? Offset is an array of m.int, which is a constant value, which is basically just a thing that has __ case is I32 in it. That's what the value actually is. Size is also an array of that, and name is a string. And basically, this meta type can be converted into an actual type like this. So we have type origin meta, which you can see has this read-only offset, read-only size, and read-only string, or name, which are the actual types here, is computed via infer meta type with the type of the constant value. So this is the constant value, this is just a value itself. If I add a new thing to it, like test, which is a m.boolean, you'll be able to see that the type automatically gets a boolean type with the name test. Because type of here will give us the constant type of this value, and then infer meta type does something with it. Yeah, and so then if I go into here, not in here, infer meta type in here, this basically just calls infer, and then infer is this horrible big list of things. Basically, t is going to be some meta type, and then we need to turn each of it into like its actual type. So if t extends the string constructor or a case string, then it returns the string type. If it extends a U64 or I64, it returns a big int. If it returns, where's the number stuff? I guess float type, which is either a case is F32 or a case is F64, then it returns number. Same with int type, because TypeScript is not super flexible with what its number types are. The actual magic comes from the recursion stuff, where basically, if we extend a record of some string to meta type, then we call infer record, which then takes each key in the record and then gives the inferred value as the value. So yeah, it's basically just a thing to convert a constant schema definition that Zephyr can read into a type that TypeScript can understand. And by having these have the same name, TypeScript has this like nice convenient thing where you can refer to it as a value, or you can refer to it as a type. If I go look at uses of this type, do I use the type anymore? I don't know. Then it would actually be correct. Oh, Skividio, hi oh dear, redeemed hydrate, thank you. Oh, and a posture check, thank you as well. Have you primed something to make your monitors higher? Not yet, but I did make my chair lower, which kinda helps, but it means I have to keep my hands a little bit higher up than I'd like to. But yeah, I definitely still need to do that. It's been annoying me. Well, it's not actually that cursed. I've written some worse things when trying to create React query generators, but hey, it's a good amount of cursed. I really like TypeScript type inference, but recently I've kind of realized I hate TypeScript. Mainly because of its recursion limits. I was doing something at work where I was trying to create a recursive type generator using a bunch of functions, and I found out that TypeScript has a 12 function limit before it just says, oh, recursion's too deep and possibly infinite. Or I think its exact words are that they're excessively deep and possibly infinite. And I'm like, really? 12 is excessively deep? And this is a value that you cannot configure. It's fixed like that forever. So I was like, oh, fucking hell. So I had to rewrite a whole API that otherwise worked perfectly because the type checking wouldn't function properly, which was annoying. Proper typing posture is overrated. I don't know if that's true. I like my hands and neck and back continuing to work. Bought me some wood blocks too. Oh, honestly, like, that would be fine as well. I mean, I have the 3D printer right there, which makes me think that I may as well just use that, but, it might just be that I should just do a low-tech solution. I could also just use books. Like, I have books, that are roughly the same size, so, One sec, I'm gonna quickly get the music back. Okay, now that's all stupid sounding because it's using the hands-free configuration. Why are you like this? because that's the only one it's detecting for some reason. Alright, fine. I don't care. Okay, so... Okay, now that my desire for Chris knowledge is satiated, wish you luck on the stream. Bye, everyone. See you later, Archie. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, and thank you for the stretch. Man, the ears timer's almost out. I'm free. Probably don't redeem it, though, because I'm likely going to end the stream within the next 40 minutes, so, you know, it would be wasted, and then I'd have to go into the stream redemption rewards thing and then give it back, and that's going to be annoying, so don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. So if you go back to the chunk mesher... yeah, protest. You can't do anything about it. So in the chunk mesher... we're returning a chunk mesh info, which is a VK mesh info of face data. So this is returning just a bunch of face data, which is a real perversion of these types. I don't know why I did it like this. This is supposed to be vertex info, and it's not. And then this is the index type, and I don't think we're specifying it anywhere. Like, I don't think... Or, for some reason, oh, because this is an array. Got it. Got any progress on the liquids? Probably going to need to watch the VOD to try and learn by proxy. We really haven't done anything on the liquids that's, like, liquid-based yet. We are mostly working on creating the API for actually setting and defining liquids. So right now, our progress is that... Give me a sec to let it build. We have a liquid definition system. You can see that it calls liquid created here. I can give myself a bucket. Let's go give bucket. And if I right click with it, it creates invisible liquids. And you can see in the console old liquid and new liquid when I click there. Old liquid is what was there before the placement happens, and new liquid is what's there after. And just as a debugging thing, you can see water is index 3. So you can see the first time I click, it was nothing, and then it's water. The next time I click, it was water and still is water. So it exists in data, it just doesn't actually render or flow or anything yet. Well, that would count as progress. Fair enough. You know, it's just not like, if you're working on building a liquid simulation, that's probably not particularly useful. But hey, I'm not going to tell you not to watch the VOD. I mean, watch the VOD if you want. That would be cool. So yeah, so we have our meshes. And these are both meshes that contain face buffers, or face data. If we want to render water, then we need to consider the design of this. So basically, the way that we have faces right now is that they are encoding their information in models, in the model buffer. And then... So what I'm going to do right now is I'm probably going to make a very simple vertex-based renderer for the water, and then that can be optimized later. And definitely should be optimized later, because liquid's going to be moving around a lot more than blocks. Part of the reason that we're doing this in a completely separate system than blocks, although not the main reason, is that blocks are quite intensive to manipulate. They have a lot of data. You have to do a lot of checks when a block gets changed to see what sides of it should render, and like all this other information about it, right? Whereas liquids are super simple and can be represented with very little data on the GPU. Which means that we can create a very simple like data representation, and then we can upload that quicker and regenerate it quicker. Sorry. I'm sorry that I made you socially yawn. And so, basically, what we're eventually going to want to do is something very similar to the vertex pulling that's happening right now, with all the liquid data existing in like some sort of liquid buffer, and then not generating any vertices on the CPU. But for now, we're going to just do that because that's the simplest way to get this bootstrapped. Sorry if this question is late or out of context, but what does data-oriented engine mean? It basically, for me, it means that like the engine is running in C++, and it's just being provided a shit ton of data from JavaScript. Like, you know, we're not telling the engine what blocks to place in the map generation. Instead, we're defining noise parameters which tell it how to generate the blocks, right? We're not telling every single node, oh, render like this, and like calling render calls in JavaScript. Instead, we're defining nodes that have models and textures and stuff like that that can be used by the C++. That's basically what it means to me. It's not like a super hard distinction, it's just the way that I've taken to calling it. Liquid everywhere is insulted by being called simple. Well, liquid everywhere should maybe be like a little bit more complex. I ever thought about that? Okay, so I don't know what this is for. I feel like, oh, I know what this is for. But that's not useful for right now, so we're not gonna look at that. I'm just gonna tack this onto the chunk mesh file right now, because this is all incredibly temporary, and so I don't want to get it too overly complex. But we're basically going to grab all this shit, and we're going to combine them. Just confirming that I'm not crazy. Yeah, and then attribute packed. And then we're gonna call this liquid vertex. Now we're gonna like just delete a shit ton of stuff. So we're not gonna do greedy meshing, so we don't need any of the size parameters. We do need the position, which we're just gonna send as a U. Well, I guess it can be packed, so 5 bits for each of them, sure. We don't need the blend, we don't need the model buffer, we do need a color. So we're gonna go color. Cool. We don't need light or anything. We don't need positions, normals, text chords, or mesh mod types or values. I don't think. I'm just trying to confirm that in my head. I think we're good with all of that being gone. And we also don't need any of the texture stuff or any normal shading. Or I guess yeah, we're not going to take normal shading, and we also don't need padding. So there we go. That's our liquid vertex for now. It's position and then a color. So then if we look at it, 16 bytes, perfect. Now we're going to create a liquid info, which is going to contain a liquid vertex, and then indices. Okay. Cool. And now to get this going, we're going to, let's see, create an chunk mesh liquid info, liquid mesh, and then, sorry, this doesn't need to be an array. Cool. Now, let's see. So we have this out data, and we have our chunk mesher, which gets sent a chunk. I believe mesh region. Oh god, look at this fucking comment I left for myself. This function is scary and one of the major bottlenecks in the game. I expect that I'll be here many, many more times in this, so I'll write my thoughts for my future self. Hey girl. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Apparently I did this on the 1st of January. That's probably the last time I touched this file. Cool. Yeah, why have I done this to myself? I create these super complex systems, and I have to go back and touch them again, and then I'm like, oh god, what have I done? Cool. So we load each chunk. And then we call mesh node. I guess to, like, make this simple, ew, touching systems, let's just hijack the existing thing here, because it looks like we're ingesting the region. What does this do again? Calls ingest chunk, which sets node data. Okay, so I guess if we want to have data here, then we're also going to need a vector of... Or sorry, node data is not the right thing. Node data is the data array. What we really want to be populating is nodes. So let's go to chunk liquid, which does not exist. Cool. So our chunk node is going to be item def index type. We're going to create a new one, liquid def index type liquid, which is going to be a unsigned short. Perfect. Now, oh, I have it there and it's called fluid. Well, we're not calling it that because fluid includes gas, and that's not within the scope of this system. We're also definitely going to need one of these. Cool. Which means that chunk is going to have to inherit and implement that. Get liquids. Cool. Which is just going to return the liquids array. Alright. Then we're going to have our liquids array here, and then we need to actually ingest the liquid data as we normally would. So, let's see, where do I populate this array? Nodes.data, okay, ingest chunk edge does it, so let's go state.liquids data int. It's going to be equal to liquid, which is going to have to be collected here. Var liquid is going to be chunk liquids query int. So this is basically converting the data from chunks into a single contiguous array of data. There's two reasons for that. One is that the chunk mesher works on a different thread, and it's quite intensive, so we don't want to have to lock for reading all of the chunks the whole time, so copying the data is nice. But the other reason is that if we move it all into its own buffer that is optimal for the chunk mesher to read through, then we have to do less indexing shenanigans, right? Which helps a lot. So we have our ingest chunk edge, which is called here in index region edge, which is called here in ingest region, which also calls ingest chunk, which also needs to set the liquid. There we go. State.liquids, data int is equal to liquid. Great. Just to confirm, let's make sure that I'm not setting nodes anywhere else. So let's see. That has liquid setting, that says liquids, that's reading, that's reading, that's reading, reading. Cool, so yeah, we're setting all the liquids in the same place that we're setting all the nodes. Oh shit, one day you'll be able to have our OST for the stream. I was literally thinking about this, like, when I was starting the stream. I was like, oh man, when our game eventually has, like, a full OST, I can play that. I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be really cool. Okay, so now that we have that, mesh region calls mesh node, and we're also going to call mesh liquid. Are your collections your own implementations or just STL type defs? Most of them are just standard library. Why am I getting notifications on my phone? Oh my god. My mom is sending me like 8 pictures of weeds on the ground all at once. Why are you doing this? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, most of the collections are just standard library. Like, array is just std array, vec is std vector. Mesh liquid region width, region data width. This parameter doesn't need to exist, it's for level of detail, and it does not affect liquid yet. I guess it will, though, so I may as well just pass it in and do nothing with it. Then node position, index, and then side mask, I guess should be passed in. Side mask is weird and convoluted and probably going away, but it basically defines what faces of the blocks should be meshed at all. It's basically like a static time backface culling. It stops anything from too far away, or like from having its back faces even meshed at all. Now, for liquid, that I guess probably doesn't matter right now, since we're just going to be doing the top layer of everything. But eventually we will want to have, like, waterfalls have side textures, right? So, yeah, so we're gonna keep that in there for now. Then let's go find mesh liquid. Or I guess it doesn't have a definition yet. So mesh node. Oh yeah, because this is all just in the header. That's kind of scuffed, but sure. So we'll duplicate this and we'll have mesh liquid. Cool. Which is going to grab the liquid. Like that. Then we don't need a mesh because meshes don't exist. Then we're not going to worry about spanning stuff at all. Or meshing parts at all. But the important detail is that this calls a function here, which does the actual adding to the vertex buffer. This stuff here is, it's very, like, out of date, but I'm keeping it around for reference until I fully re-implement everything with vertex pulling. But the actual meat of the render is right here. Basically, we grab our output array, which is going to be liquid mesh. Chunk mesh liquid info. And then for some value, we're not going to be doing part.faces.size, but we are going to define a bunch of vertices that are going to be static. So static chunk mesh liquid vertex. I guess there should be an array of liquid vertex for and then that's going to be vertices. And it's going to have dot posx. Is that what it is? Let's see. Liquid vertex has posx, posy, and posz. So I guess actually, hold on. So we're meshing the top face of liquid, right? Which means that we need to render a quad per liquid that is world aligned to the top. Right now, we don't have a floating point vertex position. We just have a single position here, or a single integer position for each of these, which technically needs to have 6 bytes associated with it, or 6 bits, because our chunks can be up to 32 wide, 32 blocks wide. And in the block positions, we have an origin, which is from 0 to 31, which is 5 bits, and then a size, which is also from 0 to 31. And so that means that, or I guess it's from 1 to 32, because we add 1, because there's no concept of having 0 width. But that means that the position cannot actually say, oh, I'm on position 32. It can only say I'm on position 31 with a size of 1. But we don't have sizes in the liquid vertices yet, because we're not doing greedy meshing on them right now, or probably ever. So for now, we're going to bump this up to 6 bits so that we can actually represent position 32 for the higher level chunks. So then we need to go basically just IVEC 3 offsets. I guess let's actually go std pair. No, hold on. IVEC 4 offsets is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, and then 1, 1, 0. And so basically what this is doing for anyone that is not like a geometry person, let me grab like a shitty canvas to demonstrate. Basically, oh, it's gonna make me log in. Fuck you, I'll just use bin. So basically, if we have our origin here, and then these coordinates are x, y, and z, then 0, 0, 0 is right here. 0, 0, 1 is right here, right? It's off by 1. Then 100 is up here, and then 101 is up here. It's basically just defining offsets from the origin. And then we take these four positions, and then we render 2 triangles between them, and then we have a quad. Where did all your knowledge about this come from? The whole Voxel Engine stuff. Damn, I need to somehow get into this, but I don't even know where to start. I started being interested in voxel stuff like way back when I first played Minecraft. The first time I got into technical voxel stuff was with Mindtest. They like that's not super low level meshing stuff, but I did get into it from there. Then I don't know, I just kind of learned about low poly meshing stuff from like learnopengl.com, and then read like a shit ton of articles. Seed of Andromeda was excellent. Yeah, start by putting quads on the screen. It's really like, you just sort of start and then go forwards, I guess. Like, it seems like insurmountable for sure. I guess let's just like, don't focus on the destination, just like focus on what you're learning at the time. And, you know, it'll come naturally. Yeah, knowledge comes from research. That's a good way of saying it. Okay, so we have these offsets, and then we're also going to need the index order, which I think I have a constant somewhere about. Oh, that's not the right tab. Index. Case sensitive. Do I not have it? Vertex order? No. Okay, I don't know where that is. Unless it's in, like, node mesh? No. Draw a triangle, draw a quad, draw 6 quads in a cube. Abusing bit shift and modulo. Oh, I made a 4-line function that could check if a number is prime by bastardizing Fermat's little theorem, abusing bit shifts and modulo. I've never heard of this. That sounds very cool. Step 4, profit? Who knows? Maybe profit. Maybe one day. We'll see. Either way, if this project is destined for profit, then that's going to be a long ways out, which is, you know, why I'd also like to be able to do some other projects. Why I'm hoping that the project that I'm working on with Brian is going to be really cool, because, you know, need money to live. Alright, so then we're going to have just a static. I guess we don't need to have the indices. The index buffer, we can still use the constant index buffer. So we don't need to generate indices at all. Oh, I was just mentioning the project that we're doing. How long have you been working on this Voxel engine? I've been working on it since December 2018, so just coming up on 6 years now. Alright, so for each offset, we need to push back a new face, or a new vertex, my apologies. I wonder why that's upset. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then we're going to return a liquid vertex, which is going to have a position x, which is going to be pos.x plus offset.x, pos.y plus offset.y, and then pos.z plus offset.z. It doesn't have any of these properties. And then finally, color is going to be liquid.color, which I believe is... Oh, it is a U8vec4. Perfect. So that should compile as is. If it doesn't compile, then we'll have to figure out why it's not compiling. But I think it should compile. And it should generate stuff, ideally. How's the implementation going? We're just trying to get liquids to actually render. Hopefully we can do that before the end of the stream. But it might end up taking until next stream to actually get them on screen. But we should have a very, very, very primitive mesher going at the very least, even if we can't see what it looks like. But we will see. Alright. 92%. It's so slow to rebuild files that are like all header based because, you know, that's... Oh, failed. What happened? Oh, scaled chunk is still used somewhere? Weird. I don't remember this. But sure. I can implement get liquids, that's fine. I don't think anything actually uses this. I'm pretty sure that this is just because the type exists. It wants to fulfill the interface. Alright, let's try that again. I'm so, like, weirded out by my camera right now, so, like, I've got this weird thing where, like, for most of the time that I've streamed, I've had my camera mirrored because I am used to how I look. I'm used to how I look when I am looking at myself in a mirror, but not so much when I'm on camera, and I used to be really uncomfortable with how I looked not mirrored. But I recently accidentally turned that off, and then forgot that I turned it off, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess I can just keep this off now, because I'm not annoyed by it anymore. But it means that all of, like, when I see something that looks weird, like if I want to adjust my hair, then my hands are in the opposite place of where I expect them to be. Like, I expect this to be on the left, and this to be on the right, because I'm used to looking at it like it's in a mirror, and it's so surreal. It's so strange. Looks like we're not actually setting the size of this array. No, we are not. Liquid.resize RLM. Have you ever looked at the game Enshrouded? Keen Games has developed its own voxel engine for it, further development of the Portal Knights engine. The game doesn't look like it's made of voxels. Enshrouded. And they don't actually have any water in the world yet because it's difficult to implement. A developer chatted about it for a bit on the podcast. Yeah, the liquids are quite frustrating to make. Oh, I think I've seen somebody play this game. Did RT Game play this or something? No. Let's Game It Out played this, I think. Yeah, this is the game with that, like, mist stuff that, like, fucks you up, right? Or is that something else? This looks very good, though, either way. I definitely should take a look at this. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with, like, voxel stuff that doesn't look like voxels. This engine is definitely meant to be more like, just like voxels in like a pure sense, like it's supposed to look like it's a voxel game. But it's really cool seeing all the stuff that people are able to do that hides the fact that it's voxels, because that's also just very technically impressive and sometimes looks really good. Okay. Well, we didn't crash. I guess to test if this is actually working, let's go into the world. And then voxels, but secretly rendered using polygons, as all voxels in non-ray tracing engines are. Yeah. Okay, so our mesh uploader executor does stuff, and then when it's done, if you suddenly scaled down your cubes to half size, would everything keep working? Yeah, I could actually really easily demonstrate that. If I go over to the player, and I just change their camera offset. Where the hell is the camera offset? It's like 1.8? Sure. Okay, let's double the scale of the player, so we'll go to 0.6, 0.6, and then 3.8, and then if I go... Where the fuck is the camera position? Ah! Hold on. Camera.set .entity.pos is equal to this .entity of... Oh, offset pos. Right here. But where is it set? Offset pos is equal to... Ah, okay. 3.6. So this should double the perceived scale of the player, or at least double the height of the player. If we want to actually make them jump twice as high, then we'll need to do that somewhere. Jump. Yeah, there's the velocity. Let's double it. So, oops, I zoomed everything out. So if I run this, we should now have a player that's twice as tall, and I guess I didn't increase the move speed, but oh well. Yeah, there we go. So everything is effectively half the size now. You are now, I guess, 5 blocks tall? Yeah, 5 blocks tall. Here, let's increase the move speed as well. Where is that gonna be? I guess, like, here? My code for the player is a little bit jank, if you can't tell. But that should increase the speed. That did not increase the speed. Why not? Velocity, velocity... Oh, that's lerping. Oh, that's just the lerping code. Alright, so where did the velocity get set? Scales by speed. And speed is... the identity is 8, so let's set that to 16. Changes the house building meta drastically. Yeah, it's definitely different. So, something that I'm planning on doing, actually, with my game is the game itself that I'm building in the engine is a sci-fi about basically crashing on an alien planet and shapeshifting into, like, the alien fauna that exists. And so you play as a bunch of different playable species throughout the game. And one of them I want to be significantly bigger than the normal player, because then it's, like, a different way of looking at the game mechanics, and I think that would be really cool. Like, I think it would be really interesting if you want to play as that species in an area, like, actually having... Oh, I didn't fix the collision, apparently. Actually having the, like, the player have to build larger scale buildings. But yeah, everything works as normal during this. Like, technically we've made the player bigger, not the blocks smaller, but that's effectively identical, like, as far as everything is concerned. There's a reason why the camera is just, like, a generic position that you can assign, right? Like, it's meant to be that you can just, like, make the player or whatever larger or smaller if you want to. And, like, you can adjust the FOV if you want to, like, do something. If you want, like, to look like you're higher up, you can zoom it out or whatever. Or if you want it to look like, you know, it is all smaller, you might want to zoom the FOV in a little bit. But yeah, that's a thing. Let me undo that, though, so I can play normally. Cool. And also, like, there is just the aspect that this is all, like, a modding API, so if anyone wants to build a game where they are bigger, or just even mod the game so that you're always bigger in the game, then you can totally do that, right? You can even make something that dynamically rescales you. There's nothing wrong with that either. Right, so... let's go into the world... again. And then our mesh task has a preprocessor. Then it has a processor. And then... the fuck is happening? Where's the post-processor? What does this do when it's done? I have no idea what it's doing. Oh, it calls dimension.addMesh. Okay. So then, that's gonna be a little bit annoying to unpack. But where is items specified? Pending mesh item. It's a mesh buffer. Cool. Oh, wait, that's just the mesh uploader. So then... right, so let's quickly print out right here. So if we are here, this is where the mesh is meshed. We'll log val.chunks? Wait. What am I looking at? So mesh region... oh, ret. Okay. Log ret dot data dot liquid mesh dot vertices dot size. And actually, let's go let size is going to be equal to that. Then if size is greater than 0, then we're going to log created liquid mesh with size vertices. And let's see if this works. If it works, then we're actually creating liquid meshes, and we just need to actually make the renderer render them. They're super basic liquid meshes that just include quads that are facing straight up, but like that's a pretty good start as far as I'm concerned. So let's see what happens. Okay, so... Okay, that's a lot of vertices. Why is that so large? What is happening? Why are you huge? What the fuck? Stop. Time out. What the fuck just happened? Where's our chunk mesher? I know exactly what happened, and this is fucked up. Okay, so our chunk mesher, it calls mesh liquid, which just adds these vertices no matter what, even if the liquid is empty. So what we want to do is go if liquid is equal to liquid atlas empty. Let's maybe not do that. That should hopefully not cause us to be generating 131,000 long bullshit liquid meshes that have nothing in them except for like white planes for every single block in the game. Okay, we're not getting messages about generating a shit ton of liquid meshes. That's a good start. Let's give ourselves a bucket. Created liquid mesh with 8 vertices. Okay, so something that I'm immediately seeing here is that when I right-click the liquid, it doesn't trigger it to remesh, because I'm not actually placing a block. But when I break a block, then it does remesh the whole thing, and we can see that, in fact, there were 20 liquid vertices in this chunk. So I'll definitely need to make it so that it actually remeshes the liquids if you just place a liquid, which will probably come with decoupling the mesher from meshing both chunks and liquids at the same time, because we don't want to remesh all the blocks if the only thing that's changed is the liquids, and we don't want to remesh the liquids if the only thing that's changed is the blocks, right? So that's something that'll have to be done. Yeah, I think as far as that goes, like, I think that's going to be the extent of this stream, because I'm getting pretty hungry and thirsty, and I don't want to go get more water or eat food on stream. So, yeah, I think that's going to end the stream for today. I feel like we left it as a pretty good note. We've got liquids loading, we've got them placeable and breakable, and we've got them creating meshes that presumably look right, even though we can't actually see them yet. I'll have to create a whole rendering pipeline to actually render the liquids, which will be slightly annoying, but I'll see if I can get that done before next stream starts, depending on how busy I end up being. But yeah, that was a lot of progress today, which I'm happy about. I can tell my professor that I'm not being entirely useless at my final project. But yeah, thank you all so much for stopping by. Are there any questions or anything before I go? I'll sit here for a few minutes, just checking. Not useless confirmed! Woo! Hell yeah! Oh, look at that, it's a celebratory, very loud jingle from the ears timer being over. Not useless confirmed! Okay. Yes. Thank you all for joining me for this stream. This has been great. If anyone is interested in hopping into my Discord server, I talk about Zepha all the time, and other programming stuff, and also the project that Brian and I are working on. We'll be talking about that soon. So here's the link if you want it, although it's also on the stream. Also, for Twitch viewers that are here who have not seen my YouTube, I've been doing YouTube content on Voxel Engine development, and it's been a lot of effort. I've been making very, like, high production value videos, which I probably shouldn't be doing because it's making them take forever, but I really enjoy the doing it. And I recently made a video on how voxel blocks are meshed, which ties into what we're doing pretty closely. So if you're interested in that and seeing a bit more about how my engine and other voxel engines work, it would be cool if you would check that out as well. You know, just if you're up for it. The return type on get liquids... Was the return type on get liquids correct? I thought it was still returning biome. I assume you're talking about on scaled chunk. Oh, you're right. It's wrong. I mean, technically this is just an alias to unsigned short, so it's fine, because TypeScript doesn't have... Or C++ doesn't have nominal types. But, yes, that should be correct. Did I do that on chunk as well? I did! Oh my god. I should not be a developer. Oh, sinful. Liquids should be like that. Cool. And then in here, liquid. There we go. Hey there, Trixon. I'm sorry you caught the stream right at the end. We're literally wrapping up right now. How you doing? Yeah, so I think that is pretty much everything. Let's just confirm real quick that this still builds. I'm sorry. I should not be a game developer, said every developer ever. Yeah, you know, for better or for worse, like, I used to have a shit ton of imposter syndrome, and that's basically gone now, since, like, getting my, the job that I got, like, in the actual industry. It's not like a game development job, it's a full-stack web dev, functional programming job, but, working actually in the industry has cured a lot of my insecurities about, not actually being a good developer, because it turns out literally everyone has the same stupid fuck-ups as me. You know, it's just a global thing. Programming just is complicated, and you make mistakes. But it's really helped my self-image a lot, having, like, worked a real job and realized that, like, hey, I'm not, like, bad at what I've spent the last however many years training to do. That's cool. Hold on. Imposter syndrome has joined the chat. Yep. That's because you finally got to see how dysfunctional the industry is. Yep, that's one way to put it, and true. You know? Same here, I do full stack web dev and I work on a C# engine for fun. That's very cool, yeah. I've been working with F# for work, which I understand it uses the same runtime but is quite different. But I've seen a little bit of that ecosystem because of that. Was it actually being in the industry or just understanding that you're actually good? Well, I mean, like, being in the industry is not what made me not have imposter syndrome. Like, it's not like I went, oh, I'm in the industry, that means I'm fine. It's more so that I went, oh, I'm in the industry, which means I can actually compare myself to others, and I realize that I'm not worse than everyone else. So it's a combo, you know? I've been mostly a full-stack dev for almost 5 years, and I feel it hard. Are you mostly working from home or contracting? Because, like, I definitely found, like, sitting with other developers and realizing that, like, the same things happen to everyone, that's what really convinced me that, like, hey, I'm doing good, you know? It's both, she's lying. Okay. You know. I don't know. I think it's personally more of a, I get to see other people that are professionals code, and I get to do that because I'm in the programming industry now. And that's what makes me feel more confident. I hope you guys like this horrible, like, pollination event. This is a stress test for the meshing system, and I'm glad to see that it's still running perfectly fine even when it's doing entirely redundant liquid checks because everything's empty. But you can see on the top right the flashing cubes. That is, one cube represents one worker thread, and gray means that they're idle, and red means that they're meshing. So there's quite a few chunks being meshed every frame right now because of all of the flowers being built, but it's still running at 60 FPS. Yay! I just like to put this on at the end of the stream because people get interested by it. I guess when I compare myself to other people around me, I don't feel that bad. I feel worse when comparing myself to people on the internet. The internet's a terrible place for basing your self-esteem off of. I mean, you're always going to find people that are, like, infinitely better than you because the people that are, like, so infinitely good at what they do are the people that rise to the top, right? Like, I think there's a very real thing where, like, before the internet, you could just be like, yeah, I'm the best of my circle. And that's, like, that makes me feel like the best. But the internet shows you everyone in the world that cares to be on there, and so you're always going to find someone that's, like, better than you with those metrics, right? So, I don't know. I feel like there's a certain point where you just kind of have to dissociate the people on the internet from, like, actual people to base your skills off of. Like, you can still learn from them, but I feel like setting the expectation that you are going to be as good as them is, like, an impossible task, because there'll always be someone better, right? Real talk, Ari touched on something important to all the devs here. Get yourself a coding partner, even if it's remote. Both of us have found that we're much better off when we're working together. Yeah, I definitely, like, the peer programming stuff that we've been doing and working on our other project, it's really helped keep us both on track as well. And it also, like, again, it gives you another developer to empathize with and be like, yeah, okay, you're making the same fuck-ups too, so it's not like I'm just brain worms, you know, like, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, I'm just rambling. I'm tired and hungry. That's such a wide statement, personal, circle, or let's say regional, and the internet. Never thought about it, to be honest. Feeling a lot better now, thanks. I'm happy I could help. The internet's a large, scary place of, like, weird absolutes and believing that you're only good if you're at the very top of the impossible chain to rise up to. So, you know, I think, like, if I can help someone not feel bad about that, then I'm glad that I can. I agree, I just got into the tech world of coding, doing manual QA and working my way up, but we found a kid who was working on his own game in Unity and hired him on, and he's been the best coworker. Yeah, I definitely think, like, self-driven people as well, like, this is kind of unrelated, but self-driven people are, like, a good bet for hiring people, because chances are they've learned a lot of skills that you wouldn't learn in, like, the regular education system as well. Like, if anyone's trying to be more hireable, definitely, like, work on your own projects. It's definitely something that, like, employers look at, because it says a lot about your, like, your motivations and your will to, like, just learn stuff. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually fair. I just know it's true from what I've seen. I definitely got hired at this current position just on the back of the fact that I'd made a couple open source projects, and the lead dev looked at them and was like, okay, cool. So, like, yeah, I don't know. It definitely seems to help. But yeah, thank you all for showing up, everyone. This was a great stream. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back for a second stream in a row after being gone for over a month, hoping to keep that streak going. Don't leave. I have to leave. But yeah, alright. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I will be back next Sunday at noon PST. My Discord server was in the chat and is also on the screen if you want to join it, same as my YouTube and my Tumblr. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me for the past 2 hours and 28 minutes, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone!